Consumer Affairs Kerala State, Sri Manulal VS President Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum, Kottayam District and also in charge of Ernakulam, and the industry leader Sri Rajat Banerjee Mentor FICCI DS, Direct Selling Task Force, National Head Corporate Affairs Assembly India, Sri TK Pattabhiraman Chairman Managing Director Kalyan Silk, Sri Samdani Basha Vice President Customer Experience Flipkart, and our co-chair Sri Deepika Lashwani, FICCI Kerala State Council and Managing Partner Lakshman Das and Sons. As organizing this program with the support of Amway in various parts of the country to promote the awareness on the new Consumer Protection Act 2009, especially to inform the trade and industry and business community which are the things to be taken into consideration and also which are the aspects which they should look into when they are dealing with their clients. And with this opening note, I would request Sri Deepika Lashwani, co-chair FICCI Kerala State Council, to formally welcome our dignitaries and the speakers and all the distinguished participants to the program. Once again, welcome all our distinguished speakers and all those who joined in the FICCI virtual platform and also on the FICCI YouTube link. Currently, we have close around 200 participants for the program. Over to Deepika Lashwani. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I too join Mr. Savio Matthew in apologizing for the delay. Well, these things do happen. I think we should go to the Consumer Protection Council for this also, I guess. In absentia, I am welcoming Honorable Justice Sri K. Surendra Mohan, President, Kerala State Consumers Disputes Redressal Commission, Sri P. Venugopal, IAS Secretary, Department of Consumer Affairs, Kerala State, Sri Manulal VS, President, Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum, Kottayam and Ernakulam, Sri Rajat Banerjee, Mentor, FICCI Direct Selling Task Force and National Head Corporate Affairs, Amway India, Sri TK Pattabhiraman, Chairman and Managing Director, Kalyan Silks, and also a guiding light for the Textile Dealers, Textile and Garment Dealers Association in Kerala, Sri Samdani Basha, Vice President, Customer Experience, Flipkart, Sri Savio Matthew, Head FICCI KESC, distinguished invitees from trade and industry, members of FICCI, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the awareness session. I request the others to mute yourself, please. A very warm welcome to the awareness session to the new Consumer Protection Act 2019 organized by FICCI with Amway as the supporting partner. As you are aware, the Consumer Protection Act 2019 came into force from 20th July with its salient features. The new act has empowered customers and helps them in protecting their rights through its various notified rules and provisions like Consumer Protection Councils, Consumer Disputes Redressal Commissions, mediation, product liability, punishment for manufacture or sale of products containing adulterated or spurious goods. The Act also seeks to be more holistic with stricter rules, including jail term for unfair trade practices like adulteration and misleading ads by firms. Hence, it is very important that traders and industry are aware of the provisions of the new Act and also to adhere to it. The Indian retail industry has emerged as one of the most dynamic and fast-paced industries due to the entry of several new players. In the future, what we are expecting is 2-3 giants are going to dominate this industry. So for the smaller players, it becomes even more important that this act is read thoroughly. It accounts for the retail industry accounts for over 10% of the country's GDP and around 8% of the employment. And this is going up day by day. India is the 5th largest global destination in the retail space. Indian retail industry has immense potential as India has the 2nd largest population with affluent middle class, rapid urbanization, and solid growth of internet. I need not explain that whatever is manufactured has to go through the hands of retail to reach the consumer. India's retail market is expected to grow at a CAGR of 10% to US dollars 1.6 trillion by 2026 from 641 billion where it is in 2016, which means almost a 3-time growth. While the overall retail market is expected to grow at 12% per annum, modern trade itself would expand twice as fast at 20% per annum and traditional trade at 10%. Indian retail market is divided into organized retail market, which is valued at $60 billion, which is only 9% of the total sector, and unorganized retail markets constitutes the rest 91% of the sector. And because of this unorganized sector, what we find is a lot of shortcuts are being taken, and this is where the Consumer Protection Act comes in. India's business to business e-commerce market is expected to reach US $700 billion by 2020. Online retail is expected to be at par with the physical stores in the next 5 years. India's direct selling industry is expected to reach a size of rupees 23,654 crores, that is US $3.54 billion by financial year 2019-20, as per a joint report by India Direct Selling Association and PHD. The size of modern retail is expected to double to 1,71,800 crores, which is 25.7 billion, from 87,100 crores in 3 years, driven by omni-channel retail. That is the next big thing that is going to happen. Kerala, of course, is a consumer state with most of the goods consumed in the state are produced, manufactured from other parts of the country. Kerala holds a very important place in the overall consumer market in the industry, in that we are very high on the social demographic index, and in all the parts of the demographic index, because of the literacy, movement across the globe. So to that extent, Kerala is the perfect market to launch any new product and get a correct impact of how the product itself would sell. And that is the reason why Kerala is number one in almost 16 to 20 product lines that are being produced in this country. However, we have impressed upon the Kerala government also to encourage industry to start manufacturing these goods for local consumption. It is true that COVID-19 has devastated the consumer market of Kerala, except the FMCG sector and the healthcare products that the industry is gradually coming out of the COVID crisis. FICCI Retail Division has been relentlessly working on addressing the issues which have been identified as major bottlenecks for the growth of the sector. The committee, since its inception, has been instrumental in promoting the Indian retail sector. That too with a vision to create a favorable environment for the growth of retail in India. The committee has consistently contributed to the cause of retail industry growth through various awareness sessions, training programs, and submitting various policy recommendations to the government from time to time for the betterment of the retail sector. I will come back to the task of welcoming our dignitaries and key speakers of the session. We are greatly honored to have the presence of Honorable Justice Sri K. Surendra Mohan, President Kerala State Consumers Disputes Redressal Commission, as the keynote speaker, and we welcome him to this forum. FICCI is honored to have the presence of Sri P. Venugopal, IAS Secretary, Department of Consumer Affairs, Kerala State, to deliver the special address. We extend a warm welcome to you, sir. We also extend a warm welcome to Sri Manulal V.S., President of the Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum, Kottayam District, and also in charge of Ernakulam District. We also welcome Sri Rajat Banerjee, Mentor, FICCI Direct Selling Task Force and National Head Corporate Affairs of Amway India. We welcome Sri T.K. Pattabhiraman, Chairman and Managing Director, Kalyan Silks. Sri Samdani Bhasha, Vice President Customer Experience, Flipkart. All our esteemed invitees from industry, trade and business community, professionals who have joined us for the program, despite, as Sri Kalyan said, Mr. Pattabhiraman said that this is an untimely time for such a program. We shall take care of this the next time around. Looking forward to a great session, and let us go home enriched by information. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Sri Deepak Kaleshwani, Co-Chair FICCI Kerala State Council, and Managing Partner Rasmidas and Son for formally delivering the welcome address. Now we will move on to the next speaker, the special address by Sri P. Venugopal, Secretary of Kerala State. As you are aware, the consumer affairs of the government of Kerala plays a key role in protecting interests of the consumers in the state. And Sri Venugopal sir needs no introduction. He was the former collector of Kottayam and Alappuzha district, and he was also the commissioner of Devasam Board and also principal secretary of Revenue Devasam and commissioner of Civil Supplies, commissioner of Civil Supplies to Trivandrum, and also secretary of COIR Department, Government of Kerala, currently in charge of the Secretary Department of Affairs, Consumer Affairs, Government of Kerala. Over to Sri P. Venugopal IAS for the special address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Savio, for your kind introduction. That, first of all, that I would like to know that whether I get a feedback of this all session, because the issues addressed and what all things the government need to address, to know after this. I think that I'll get a good feedback from this.
Definitely, sir. We'll send you the feedback and which are the issues need to be taken up. Yes.
Okay. Dealing with a welfare legislation that is very much affects all of us. And FICCI Kerala chapter says, I congratulate you personally for hosting this event. It's a and it is the need of the hour, especially when the new act has come into force from. So I extend my appreciation to Kerala chapter. And basically, see, being a welfare legislation, I tell you that, see that when the rules of interpretation comes, it will be consumer oriented. So the trade and commerce shall be a little bit more alert when dealing with the consumers. See that we are living in a world where e-commerce has changed the business environment, and that is the need, that was the necessity that was felt in enacting this 2019 Act. When compared to 1986 Act, so there is a trade and commerce sector, and the executive want to address that change to ensure that the consumers are protected and nothing happens which is in detriment to the consumers' interest. That is why this act is enacted. 2018 the bill was introduced, but it got lapsed. 2019 again, when the new Lok Sabha is constituted, it is again introduced, and now it has become a law and the implementation has already begun. In Kerala, we have already switched over to the new legislation, and even e-filing of complaint is happening in Kerala. And everything is in place. But the new things regarding this mediation and some other thing, we need to have some more infrastructure to be built. See that empowering the consumer as well as the empowering the authorities who perform functions under this act is the need of the hour. See that this new act, which has some specific features, which is very well understood and very well it is addressed. The concept of product liability, I think that Mr. Bhattaviraman and others, that it stamps liability on the manufacturer as well as the product seller. It's a very, very welcoming feature of this modern act, which will definitely boost the trade also, because the consumer can approach to you in a confident way in designing your services, in designing your products and everything. Then comes, see that creating awareness itself, it is made a right of the consumer now. See, that is why I appreciated Mr. Savio and others, because it is an area where in which the government has to step in and do a lot of things. In Kerala, we do a lot of awareness campaigns, and we have districts, and within a couple of months, all the 14 districts will get a kiosk in delivering the new act. Then comes the e-commerce and electronic service provider, that introduction of these two concepts. See that Kerala, a lot of online trading is happening in Kerala. And it is the case not only in Kerala, all over the state, all over the country, and all over the world, actually. That rise of these new global supply chains, it has made it all the more a necessity to address these e-commerce related issues and e-commerce related cheating and everything. So the new act very well address this Central Consumer Protection Authority. It's a very welcoming change, in the sense an old void is being addressed by this new act. This authority is having even executive powers. They have an investigative wing also, and the powers to recall products, refund, order. That way also, this act helps the consumer, as well as it will make the industry more quality oriented. The ethical content of the business, because of the introduction of this Central Consumer Protection Authority, I think. Then see that all of us are being misled by many of the false ads that is being displayed in celebrities. People are being defrauded through their ads, and they were compelled to purchase products no value or little value when compared to the consideration they pay. And this act effectively addresses that need. That is the most important thing. Another thing is regarding the consumer. He can file any complaint if he is defrauded, or if he is having a case in the place where he resides, to the consumer, actually. Then another concept of mediation. It is newly introduced in this act. Mediation will empower the consumers, especially because they can better communicate with the authorities regarding the way in which they are being defrauded, or so that mediation is a welcoming change, I think. And increasing the pecuniary jurisdiction of these consumer forums, that is also fundamental. Up to 1 crore, a consumer can approach the district forum. The state forum can deal up to more than 10 crores, the national forum has used. These are all the welcoming changes I find in this. And I think that, see that when you go through the preamble of the act, for every legislation, preamble is the key to open the intent of the legislation. The act says that the protection of is an act to protect the interests of the consumers, and for the said purpose, certain authorities are being established. That is an effective administration and settlement of consumer disputes that these authorities are being established. So, in explicit terms, the Act speaks that the duty of the authorities, whether it is CCPA, whether it is Consumer Redressal Commissions, whether it is State Commission or Consumer Protection Council, the catch is to protect the interest of the consumers. See that you may be knowing the old days wherein which the old Act rule was not as fast as we. India is a country and we react to all the injustices, but soon it's all ephemeral. Soon we will forget the injustice that we. I'll tell you that in developed countries, see that people are very much as well as collective. In India, it's the collective awareness. It is there, but individually we are not. The injustice that we suffer at different levels. Being an act which affects a person from the womb to his cradle. It is the duty of each and every person to ensure that awareness is created about this act. That noble cause is being promoted by hosting this webinar. So I don't want to take your time much. The thing I want to appeal to all the authorities concerned with this act is to ensure the timely redressal of the grievance. The speedy disposal of the grievances are the key. Otherwise, again, people will be frustrated with the act, with the authorities, and they will say that there is no use. The executive has done their part well. And it is for the implementers to ensure that an effective implementation of the act is taken place. I expect that all of us will contribute to the noble cause. And once again, I thank you, Vicky, for hosting this events like this. The government will also promote you because the government is spending a lot of money. Even we are giving training to the trade and commerce also. See, we are.
Thank you, Sri Venugopal, AS Secretary, Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of Kerala, for the special address and also elaborating on the silent features of the Act and also the coming with various suggestions. This will be also taken into consideration. And also, as you are aware, that Sri Venugopal was also charge of the Secretary Choir, and Vicky has been always in touch with Venugopal sir when he was the Secretary of the Choir, also been doing various promotional activities for the choir industry in Kerala. Thank you, sir. We'll definitely come back to you, sir, once the other speakers are finished with their parts. Now, we will move to Sri Manulal, sir, VS President, Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum, Kottayam District, and also in charge of Ernakulam District. And after we'll have the Honorable Justice K. Surendra Mohan addressing us a keynote address to technical issues. As you are aware, Sri Manulal VS is the President Consumer Redressal Forum, Kottayam, and also currently in charge of the additional district. And he's been engaged with long 18 years of experience as advocates, mainly in civil and criminal affairs. Over to Sri Manulal, sir, for the address. Sir, you muted, sir. Can you unmute? Sriman, yeah. Yeah, now it's clear. It's clear, sir. You can continue, sir.
The topic is forum, and the main important points which are five. Filing the complaint before consumer forum. Hope that all of you. And you are consumer 2019. The act is exercised of consumers and over the consumer forum established to was the new which was coming in the new trade and commerce, e-commerce and multiple market. Now the Consumer Commission Act is India. As of 2019, provides a wide power to consumer redressal commission, which are established for addressing the consumer dispute a three-tier quasi-judicial mechanism is introduced as well as in the new act and in the area, including the district consumer redressal commissions, state commissions, and national redressal commissions. 2019 Act empowers the Consumer Redressal Commission with a wide power, including the power of civil courts and criminal courts, while advocating the disputes. As pointed out earlier, the jurisdiction of all these commissions as enhanced is to make impact and change in the new. As per the old Act, 1986 Act, the Consumer District Consumer Dispute Resolution Forum has power to entertain a complaint in the value and compensation, whichever may be seeked by itself, with an to the extent of 20 lakhs. Now, the new Act empowers district consumer redressal commissions entertain and adjudicate a complaint. Which a person paid to 1 crore rupees value for a cancellation for a goods or change main impact of the new act. Section pecuniary jurisdiction of consumer commission as enhanced up to 4. For the payment of a consideration for the value and the service or services which he availed. That is the main change. In the older Act, it is up to 20 lakhs, including the value of the goods or service and the compensation which is. Now this Act empowers a person, give a liberty to a person who buys a goods by paying a concession of 1 crore to approach before the district level consumer commission and seeks a compensation more than 1 crore. That is the main change in the pecuniary jurisdiction. Moreover, another change, another important change is that under the old Act, consumer has to go before the forum under which shop or service under which the jurisdiction of parties for the trader or manufacturer or the service provider under the consumer complaint can file by your citizen under the within the jurisdiction of the institutions where he resides or he carries on his own. That's the main change to ask the law. However, legal heir of the complaint can be also a consumer can also file a complaint under the Consumer Protection New Act. The State Commission has power to entertain the complaint where the value of goods or services based on consideration does not exceed 10 crore. Above the 10 crore, the complaint can be filed only before the National Commission. These important changes, we hope that the State Commission and the National Commission, which are the appellate authorities of the State Commission, the District Consumer Court, become a purely appellate body, and all the strictly disposal of the appeals, which are very like this, filed against the order of the district level consumer court, district consumer dispute commissions, and a person who is a complaint can be filed by a person remitting a fees of fees up to 5 lakhs. There is no fees. That is the main aspect of the while filing the complaint. As a common man welfare legislation, there is no court fee for the consideration paid for up to 5 lakhs. That is absolutely free. And from 5 lakh to 10 lakh, the fees only is a nominal fees, that is only 200 rupees. 10 to 20 lakhs, there is only 400. And 20 to 50 lakhs, the fees is 1,000, and up to 50 to 1 crore is 2,500. Now a person who buy a goods by paying a consideration of 1 crore rupees can file a consumer complaint if any defect or any deficiency in service alleged by the manufacturer, trader, or seller. He can file a complaint before a Consumer Redressal Commission, only simply paying a fees of rupees 1,500 only. That is the important aspect as a social welfare legislation. The Consumer Protection Act is in yes, a speedy and speedy remedy while ensuring a cheapest cost. As all of us are aware that a person cannot be a lawyer or an agent to conduct a complaint, a consumer dispute before the commission. He can conduct the case in person by paying a very silly and cheapest fees in the country. The Consumer District Forum also has a wide power. The main aspect is that when the consumer, as earlier I pointed out that the district consumer protections and state consumer protections have the civil power as well as the power of the criminal courts. Now, if district consumer forum can exercise its power, which is empowered to the civil court for ensuring the attendance of the witness and enforcing the attendance of the witness and examining the witness and to recover and discover any material object or evidence and to appoint a commission to examine or recover any document or discover evidence and send the goods and obtain analyze expert report as well as the analysis within a approved laboratory or from an expert man. All these powers are vested by the Consumer Justice Commission are empowered to the civil code under the Code of Civil Procedure. Moreover, the Consumer Redressal Commissions are empowered with the power of in penalizing the defaulters, in obeying the order of a consumer business from state commission. The Consumer District or state commissions have the power to imprisonment a defaulter who fails to obey the order of a district consumer dispute commission. Imprisonment up to 3 years, less than 1 month, with a fine of up to 1 lakh and no less than rupees 25,000. Now the speedy enforcement of the order of a consumer redressal commissions can be more powerful and more effective. Moreover, a complainant can enforce the order of the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission by invoking the powers of the court, executing all the powers or a court of law, exercising in the provisions of Order 21 to execute the orders, including the attachment of the property and selling the property in auction for realizing the awarded amount awarded by the commissions and sending the person into a civil prison to realize the awarded amount. That is the main changes in the which was made in the new act. In the older act, there is no provisions to exercise the powers of a consumer, exercise the power of a civil court to execute the order of the Consumer Redressal Commissions. Moreover, the Consumer Redressal Commissions have the power to remove a defect in a goods or replace a defective goods with a specification of same goods to the complainant. To repay the amount was received by the manufacturer or seller in a defective goods with and with the compensation which may be given by the consumer. The Consumer Redressal Commission has the power to withdraw a misleading advertisement. That's the new provisions included in the new act. Misleading advertisement is also become an offence under the within the purview of the new act. Now the Consumer Redressal Commission has the power to direct the manufacturer or the authorities concerned to withdraw the misleading advertise and issue a corrective advertisement to become the people aware. And moreover, the Consumer Redressal Commission has the power to seize all the products which are hazardous and unsafe to the general public in state. That is an important power important aspect that under new act for the consumer product. The main important aspect is to hope that all the complaints can be filed within the 2 years from the date of cause of action before the Consumer Redressal Forum. If an appeal is to be filed before the Consumer Protection and awarded part by a district commission, then the 50% of the awarded amount is filed by the appellant. If you are opt to file an appeal before a state commission or national commission, you have to deposit 50% of the awarded amount before the state commission. In the older act, there is only 25,000 or 50%, whichever is less. That is just enhanced. That is the main changes made in the new act. These are the main provisions and main forwards. Now this is Surendra Mohan sir, Honorable President of State Commission is now joined with us. I hope that he will speak about other aspects because of he is expected to talk before me, and I am concluding my words. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Sri Manilal VS, President, Consumer Disputes Redressal, Kottayam District. You're also in charge of Ernakulam District for addressing the participants and also highlighting the various important aspects of the Consumers Redressal Forum and while filing complaints and appeal and other important issues also. We have the presence of Honorable Justice Sri K. Surendra Mohan, President, Kerala State Consumers Disputes Redressal Commission. And sir, in fact, Sri P. Venugopal, IS Secretary, Department of Consumer Affairs already has spoken. And as you are aware, most of the people who have already joined for this session are aware of Justice K. Surendra Mohan. A brief profile of Sri Surendra Mohan, sir. He was Judge of the Kerala High Court and present President of the Kerala State Consumers Redressal Commission, Thiruvananthapuram. Sri Surendra Mohan obtained a law degree from the University College of Law, the Ward, and post-graduation at the School of Legal Studies, Cochin University, and was enrolled as advocate in High Court into 1980 and started practice in Ernakulam. He was elevated as additional judge of High Court of Kerala on 5th January 2009 and became a permanent judge from 2010. Has retired from the High Court of Kerala and currently holding the charge of the Judge of the Kerala Consumers Redressal Forum. Over to you, sir, for the keynote address. Thank you for. Also, we apologize for the technical program. Sir, you are unmuted, sir. Muted, sir. Please mute. Please unmute, sir. Sir. I think we have lost the connection again on Honorable Justice.
Hello? Okay,
Clear, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm extremely sorry for the delay of joining due to technical problems. Actually, I'm using the Cisco WebEx for the first time. We are accustomed to the Google Meet and the Zoom platform. I don't know, I had not downloaded this. If I was informed, I would have downloaded it earlier. Anyway, finally, I have been able to join. I am extremely happy to associate myself with this of the PICI to spread awareness about the new Consumer Protection Act of 2019. The consumers, as you are very well aware, is a group that is so diffuse in the society. They are spread out here and there, sprinkled here and there in the society, not organized in any way, not capable of being organized in any way, because every person would be consumer at one point of time, next moment he would not be a consumer. When I travel in a bus, I become a consumer of services offered by the bus. When I travel on train, I am using the services offered by the train. When I purchase a particular commodity, I become a consumer of that commodity. But the moment I stop using that, I cease to be the aspect of the problem of protecting the consumer's rights. And secondly, the problem is that the interest of a consumer in any dispute will be very small. But that is the usual case, except in cases where a consumer suffers injury or damage that runs into a substantial sums of money. So normally, if say for example, a rice dealer, he supplies rice that is not good, of low quality, then a person may feel, what is the use of going after this and taking up this as an issue when what I have lost is only a small amount of money. So most of the time, the consumers do not decide to challenge a dispute that they may have with a particular product or a particular manufacturer or a person or a particular commercial partner. Therefore, the 3 decades ago, in 1986 itself, our legislature recognized, or parliament recognized, that the rights of the consumers required protection and decided to provide a very cheap and inexpensive remedy for ventilating their grievances and settling their disputes. The 1986 Act, which was a very brief enactment, having just 37 sections, provided for a number, recognized the rights of the consumers. And it recognized that every consumer has got a number of rights. And these rights included the right to be protected against marketing of goods, products, or services that are hazardous to life and property. The right to be informed about the quality, quantity, potency, purity, standard, price of goods or products or services, so as to protect the consumer against unfair trade practices. Then the right to be assured whenever possible access to a variety of goods, products, or services at competitive prices. Then the right to be heard and to be assured that the consumer's interests will receive due consideration at appropriate fora. The right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices or restrictive trade practices or unscrupulous exploitation of consumer, and the right to consumer awareness. All these rights were recognized by the 1986 Act, and nothing comes by the legislature recognizing the rights of the consumers. Therefore, the Act also provided for a cheap and effective mechanism for redressing the grievances of the consumers, of settling the complaints of the consumers. Therefore, Act for the establishment of a district consumer disputes redressal fora at the district level, a state consumer disputes redressal commission at the state level, and a national consumer disputes redressal commission at the national level. That system worked. The system worked for some time, for over 3 decades, but it was found that the Act was lacking in a lot of aspects. It was also found that when the 1986 Act was enacted, the commercial activity mainly took place centering markets. The situation had changed drastically with the spread of the electronic revolution. Now we have a system where, at present, a number of electronic platforms have become established, and people, the shopping habits of the consumers have changed to such a great extent that nowadays most of the consumers procure whatever they want through the online platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and so on. It was also found that a number of direct selling methods were being used to sell products and to increase the sales volumes by the manufacturers as well as the sellers. And these areas were remaining in without being controlled by the arms of law. And it was also found that there were a lot of other areas where restrictions were necessary to be imposed for the purpose of preventing exploitation of the consumer. the earlier enactment of 1980 was repealed, and the 2019 Act of Consumer Protection Act of 2019 was enacted. Though it received the assent of the President in August 2019, the Act conferred power on the government to bring it to notify a date on which it would be brought into force accordingly. On 20th of July 2020, the Act has been brought into force. Of course, the previous speakers before me have been drawing your attention to the salient features of the new enactment. So I shall very briefly refer to the important changes made, knowing fully well that I would be committing the defect of a repetition. But since I had not heard what the others had said, I request you to please bear with me. I'll make it very brief. See, the earlier enactment had only 30 or 32 sections and was a very brief enactment. But the present has 107 sections and has tried to deal with all aspects of consumer protection. Now, earlier enactment, it felt that the consumer disputes redressal agencies, that is for as well as state for the National Commission, they lacked sufficient powers to enforce the decisions given by them. Therefore, care has been taken in the present enactment to ensure that the authorities are armed with sufficient powers to ensure that the orders granted by these agencies are enforced effectively so that the consumers would get satisfaction. Now, the first change that has been brought about, the provision by which all e-commerce platforms have been roped in and brought within the purview of the Consumer Protection Act. Therefore, a person who has a complaint regarding an e-platform or a product that has been purchased over the internet has the right to approach a consumer disputes redressal commission at the district level or state level or the national level to ventilate his grievances. And all types of e-transaction include direct selling and different methods of sale of products have been brought within the scope of the jurisdiction of the redressal agencies. Now, what happens when the e-commerce platforms are brought into the net is that you purchase an article sitting in Kochi. The article may come from anywhere in India or sometimes abroad. The seller may be anywhere. And under the earlier act, every person who wanted to make a complaint was bound to make a complaint only at a place where a portion of the cause of action arose. Therefore, if I purchased a motor car at Bombay, I would have had to go to Bombay and file a case there to complain against any defect in that vehicle. But that position has now been altered, and the consumer is permitted to approach the consumer redressal agency within the place where he decides. So even if I buy something on online, it is supplied to me through the process of the electronic media. I can file a case if there are defects there. I can file a case at Kochi because I am residing at Kochi. That is the change that has been brought about, arming the consumers with sufficient power to approach the locally available redressal agency for the redressal of grievance. A follow-up would be that the manufacturer or any manufacturer who is conducting business online would have complaints all over the country that he may be compelled to defend. But the rules for preventing malpractices by e-commerce websites, which is published by the central government, envisages a procedure. So if I buy online and if it is defective or I have a complaint against the product that has been supplied to me, I have a right to inform the online platform. And once I inform and my complaint is given to the online platform, from the date on which the complaint is received by that platform, they have got 1 month's time to redress the grievance. So now that is a mechanism to see that the rights of the seller or the manufacturer are also protected so that they can redress the grievances and settle the matter. And only if they don't do that, the other methods of redressal of the grievances would be set in motion. Now, these are the two changes what e-commerce platform brought up, and the complaint that can be filed anywhere the complainant is residing. Then the third thing is the new act envisages e-filing of complaints. Therefore, it is not necessary for the complainant to come before the court, before the commission. It is not necessary for them to engage a lawyer. It is sufficient that the complaint is made through the process of e-filing. Then the fourth change that has been brought about is enhanced the jurisdiction of these authorities. The district commission, from 20 lakhs, the jurisdiction crore, and the state commissions jurisdiction has been enhanced to 10 crores. Now, one other change that has been brought about also required to be noticed. That is, under the earlier act, the jurisdiction be determined by adding up the amount that the consumer had spent out of his pocket and the compensation that he was claiming. So if a person had bought a car for 1 lakh, he was claiming 2 lakhs compensation for defects or agony that he had to undergo, then 2 plus 1, 3 lakhs would be the jurisdiction that would have to determine where the complaint should be filed. But now, Act says it is only the actual amount paid by the consumer that would determine the jurisdiction. So, if a person has bought a motor car, pay 40 lakhs of rupees, it is the that he has actually paid that would determine the jurisdiction of the tribunal, of the redressal agency. And a fallout of this would be that, see, when the state commission has got a jurisdiction to entertain matters up to 10 crores, you will immediately realize that it is very rare that a person would spend 10 crores out of his pocket in the normal course of events. Therefore, matters that are likely to be filed only before the National Commission at Delhi would dwindle and would become rare. Or most of the matters, it would be sufficient that in itself. That is one fallout that requires to be taken note of. Then another important change that has been brought about in this new act is the liability for misleading advertisement. We all know that it is through advertisements that products are sold, that sales are pushed, and sometimes misleading advertisements are put out. Now, this act prohibits misleading advertisements and also prescribes a punishment of 2 years and a fine of rupees 10 lakhs for misleading advertisement. Then an important change brought about by the new act is the establishment of a central consumer protection authority. The act envisages the setting up of a central consumer protection authority. That authority is an authority that has got investigative powers, it has got adjudicatory powers. Therefore, this commission would be empowered to investigate complaints regarding consumer rights violations. It would also be able to decide, appoint commissions, take evidence, decide whether how the matter requires to be redressed, and to grant relief. But what would be the constitution of this authority is not yet clear. So, this authority has got the power to investigate. It has got the power to recall faulty goods and services, power to prosecute offenders. It has the power to direct discontinuance of unfair trade practices. It has the power to direct discontinuance of misleading advertisements. And it has got the power to impose penalties on the concerned manufacturers and also on celebrities who may endorse a misleading advertisement. But unfortunately, dear friends, Chapter 3 of the enactment, which contains these provisions, have not been brought into force by the central government, though all the other provisions of the Act have been brought into force from 20th of July 2020. Therefore, the Central Consumer Protection Authority, as well as the powers that are envisaged for the said authority, presently remains on the statute book. They have not been implemented. So we'll have to wait and see how those provisions are going to be implemented. Another important change that has been brought about is in the level of implementation of the orders passed by the consumer redressal agencies. It was a long felt necessity that the district as well as the state commission required sufficient powers to implement the order passed by them. Earlier, the powers that were given were only those of a first-class magistrate. And that was found to be absolutely insufficient to ensure that the rights of the consumer were protected effectively. Therefore, in the new Act, Section 71 and 72 have been enacted. Now, all the powers available to a civil court for enforcing the decree passed by a civil court are now available. Agencies also for the purpose of enforcing and implementing or giving effect to the orders passed by them. Added to this is the fact that the earlier power of the criminal court that empowered it to imprison a person, that is also available. So now the authorities have sufficient powers to implement the orders passed by them. And the last important change that has been brought about by the new enactment is the recognition of mediation as another method of settlement of consumer disputes. Therefore, under the provisions of the Act, it is necessary that mediation centers are set up at the district and state level, and trained mediators are put on the job so that the disputes are settled through the process of mediation. This will ensure that disputes are settled expeditiously and in an effective manner that would be acceptable to the both parties. Because mediation is a method by which the both parties arrive at a settlement of the dispute, which is acceptable to both of them. So that would give a better culmination to the dispute, and it would give more satisfaction to both the parties together. Well, these are the important changes that are brought about, and I have just gone through this very fast, knowing fully well that these changes have been placed before you by the speakers before me in greater detail. I thank you for having your opportunity to be part of this webinar. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Justice Sri K. Surendra Mohan, President Kerala State Consumers Redressal Commission, for delivering the keynote address and also highlighting the important provisions of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. So we are really grateful for your keynote address. And as you are aware, FICCI is the apex chambers of commerce and industry in the country. And also, in the state, all the chambers and important trade and industry associates part of the FICCI. So the program details will be sent to all our members and chambers and commerce for the awareness. Thank you, sir. And we have heard the government authorities as well as the judicial authorities. Now, it is also equally important to hear from the trade and industry perspective. So to begin with, we have Sri Rajat Banerjee, member FICCI DS Task Force, National Head Corporate Affairs, Amway India. He is also the Task Force Head of the FICCI National Body also for the direct selling. And thereafter, TK Pattabhiraman sir will also speak. Then Samdhani Pasha, Vice President, Customs Affairs, Flipkart will also speak. Over to Sri Rajat Banerjee.
Thank you, Savio. Am I audible?
Very audible. You can continue, sir.
Thank you. I will apologize. My video is off because the bandwidth cannot take the video transmission. So I'll apologize that my video remains off. Very good evening to everyone on the call. It's been an absolute delight and pleasure to hear speakers before me, specifically Honorable Justice Sri K. Surendra Mohan, President Kerala State Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, Secretary, Department of Consumer Affairs, Sri P. Venugopal, the President of Consumer Redressal Forum, Sri Manulal VS, and of course, Sri Deepak Aswani, who have had the pleasure of meeting many years back. Trust you gentlemen are keeping well in these difficult times. I'm speaking from Gurugram in the National Capital Region. Well, I'll quickly jump into what I have to say. I have been asked to speak on the protection of consumer rights from the direct selling perspective, and with your kind indulgence, I'll begin my few lines that I wanted to share with you all. As the speakers before me have outlined consumer rights framework, especially in light of the Consumer Protection Act, I will not repeat those elements. Instead, I'll just keep to my task as outlined by Savio. Well, there are 6 million direct sellers in India. That's 60 lakh persons. If I just take a simple, math that each direct seller services 10 consumers, we are looking at 60 million consumers. That is, about 25% of India's middle class. The Indian middle class is around 250 million people. So about 25% of the Indian middle class has the potential to be touched by a direct seller. I trust I have your attention because these numbers are significant. Now, I come from an industry that's not very well known or understood. I will, just take a few minutes to outline what exactly is direct selling. From our perspective, see, direct selling is probably one of the oldest forms of trade. Most of us could recall vendors who came to our houses to sell their wares when we were growing up. That is also direct selling. The only difference is, in today's context, this activity has become corporatized over the last, let's say, 120 years. And today, you have companies and corporations, global giants, which could range, have an annual turnover of a few $billion, range from $1 to $8 billion. So fairly large corporations, companies are part of this industry. To put it in very simple terms, direct selling is selling daily use products. Could be soaps, detergents, cosmetics, health supplements to a consumer. Now, if I were to give you a picture of this industry globally, it is a $192 billion industry globally. Globally, there are about 20 million people who are engaged in this industry as micro entrepreneurs. And in the global context, 70% of this 20 million are women. In the Indian context, this industry is about 15,000 crores. A speaker before me did outline that this industry, I think it was Mr. Asfani who did mention that this industry has the potential of reaching 23,000 crores by 2019. Well, that was a 2014-15 report, sir. And today in 2018-19, we are sitting at about 15,000 crores. There are 6 million, as I did mention, 6 million direct sellers or 60 lakh individuals who are in this industry. 50% are women, so the numbers are large. In a state like Kerala, the latest IMRB survey indicates that about 1 lakh persons are involved in this industry, and the size of the industry in Kerala alone is around 65 crores. So a reasonable industry in terms of size, in terms of people, in terms of livelihoods, and in terms of consumers. And of course, I'm happy to share with this group that Kerala was the first state to notify guidelines for this industry way back in 2011. So in very many ways, Kerala has shown the rest of the country the way forward, especially in this industry. And we remain really indebted to the state and the officials concerned. Now, if I just were to outline a little more in detail, every individual direct seller has a contract with a direct selling entity or company. Direct sellers do not buy products from each other. They buy products directly from the company and sell it directly to a consumer. And all direct selling companies, Amway is one such company, is like any other FMCG company which has a sales department, a marketing department, finance department, logistics, communications, and of course, corporate affairs. The only difference is that the final mile of the delivery of product is done by an individual. So direct sellers who have contracts with direct selling entities buy products from the direct selling entity and then sell it to the consumer. So as you can see from what I've shared, there is no difference to a consumer other than the fact that the direct seller who sells to the consumer by and large belongs to his or her social circle, which means the direct seller could be a neighbor, could be a friend, could be a relative. And this is in one way the strength of the industry as far as consumer rights is concerned, because if I as a consumer buy products from my neighbor and I have a problem with that product, my neighbor can't go anywhere else. He has to, he is within my reach, within my social circle. I can always go back to him, which is the reason why most direct selling entities have a clear-cut money-back policy, which means that if a consumer is not happy with a particular product, he or she may return the product, even if it is used, to the seller, to the direct seller, who then reimburses 100% of this money back, of the money spent on a particular product. I know this may be simplifying things because you gentlemen are, have a very, very wide mandate. You are seeing issues between consumers and businesses on a daily basis. It might sound very simple, but that is the reality as far as many ethical companies are concerned, because as has been pointed out by Justice Surendra Mohan, that there is a bit of a lack of understanding for many business models such as direct selling and maybe even online models. I'll leave that to my next speaker to outline. But sir, I would just like to bring to your attention that all direct selling ethical companies follow all the rules of the land, whether be it legal metrology to the FSSAI perspective, the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, Shops and Establishment Act, and of course the existing tax regime. So from our perspective, this industry, while it is quite new, about 20-25 years in the country, it may not be very well known, and hence we take these kind of opportunities to partner with strong industry bodies like FICCI to help the regulators, to help consumers, to help society at large to understand what this industry is, what are its inherent strengths, and of course, there will be weaknesses like any industry. This is why we as an industry have welcomed the new Protection Act, because from our perspective, this is the first time in any Indian law direct selling is being clearly defined, and also the expectation of the industry is very well clearly laid out, and that, believe me, it helps big businesses, because big businesses have been following ethical standards of operation, and any mention in a law such as the Consumer Protection Act, while it is entirely aimed at protecting a consumer, and we very much welcome it, it also helps the ethical businesses stand out from the rest. I did mention about Kerala in 2011. If I recall well enough, it started because 2 or 3 companies which unfortunately for us also followed a bit of a direct selling kind of model. They collapsed, and which led to a situation where this industry got clarity by way of these guidelines in Kerala. And like I did mention, that proved to show the way to the rest of the country as to how one particular industry, if properly regulated, could benefit society at large, because it not only protects livelihoods. I did mention in Kerala there are about 1 lakh people involved in this industry. It protects livelihoods, it protects consumers, and everyone hopefully has a comes out of this entire process feeling better off. Now, if I were to quickly look at the Consumer Protection Act of 2019 and what it entails for this industry and this industry alone, direct sellers and direct selling entities are to take appropriate steps to ensure protection of all private information provided by consumers. Direct sellers and direct selling entities shall be guided by the provisions under the Act. Any complaints over phone, email, or website or walk-in have to be numbered and tracked and traced on a urgent basis. And companies like Amway have engaged ombudsman to help the consumer, or rather redress any consumer complaint. So I'm afraid I've taken up a lot of your time, so I'll just wind up by these last few words, stating that as an industry, the direct selling industry greatly welcomes the new act. We have a large consumer base, and our future is only secure when the consumer is satisfied with this industry and the goods also. I will stop. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Back to you, Savio.
Thank you, Rajat, for clearly explaining about the role of direct selling on the scenario of the new Consumer Protection Act, and also the various compliance measures being implemented by the industry also. Thank you, Rajat. We will come back to you also later on. And we will move to the next speaker, that is T.K. Pattabhiraman, Chairman and Managing Director, Kalyan Silks. Anybody associated with Silk is always remember Kalyan Silks, because Pattabhiraman is the Chairman and Managing Director of the group. And Kalyan Silk has also created a brand of its own, and is credited for redefining silk trade through innovative concepts that include introducing India's first branded silk saree, Saugandhika, and being the first textile retailer to create in France. And Sri Pattabhiraman was also the past president of the Chuchu Chamber of Commerce Industry. Whenever we approach him, he's always ready to come as a speaker in spite of his busy schedule. Over to Sri Pattabhiraman, Chairman and Managing Director, to speak from the perspective of the manufacturers and retailers industry in Kerala. Over to you, sir.
Most Honorable Justice Sri K. Surendra Mohan. Am I audible?
You are clearly audible, sir.
Most Honorable Justice Sri K. Surendra Mohan, Sri P. Venugopal A. Secretary Consumer Affairs, Manu Lal, President Consumer dispute redressal form, Rajat Banerjee, National Head, Ambe, Sri Deepak Lachwani, FICCI, Co-Chair, Sri Samdani Basha. മറ്റ് സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെ, ഈ ഫിക്കിയോടൊരു താങ്ക്സ് പറയാണ്. കാരണം ഞങ്ങളെ മാതിരിയുള്ളവർക്ക് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം കിട്ടാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. കിട്ടുന്നത് ഇതേമാതിരി നിയമങ്ങളൊക്കെ വന്നതിന് ശേഷം കിട്ടാറ്. ഈ നിയമങ്ങൾ വന്നതിന് ശേഷം ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം കിട്ടുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് വലിയ കാര്യമുണ്ട് തോന്നുന്നില്ല എനിക്ക്. സോ ഫിക്കിയൊക്കെ ഇൻവോൾവ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ബിഫോർ സച്ച് amendments are done, ഒരു ആക്ച്വൽ ബിസിനസ് ഫീൽഡിലുള്ളവരെയും കൂടി ഇതിൽ ഇൻവോൾവ് ചെയ്യണം എന്നാണ് എനിക്ക് പറയാനുള്ളത്. ഒന്ന്, തീർച്ചയായും 35 കൊല്ലങ്ങൾക്ക് ശേഷമാണ് ഈ കൺസ്യൂമർ പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ ബിൽ 2019 കുറെ ചേഞ്ചസ് അല്ല, ടോട്ടലി മാറ്റി എഴുതപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. അത് വളരെ സന്തോഷമുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്. രണ്ടാമത്, ഞാൻ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് ലോകത്തെ എല്ലാവരും, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ഇന്ത്യൻസ് എല്ലാവരും തന്നെ കൺസ്യൂമറാണ്. ഞാനപ്പോൾ കൺസ്യൂമറിന്റെ ഭാഗത്ത് നിന്ന് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ 100% ഈ കൺസ്യൂമർ പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ ബിൽ 2019 വലിയ സ്വാഗതാർഹമാണ് എന്നുള്ളതിൽ യാതൊരു സംശയമില്ല. അതിൽ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനമായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് തോന്നിയത് ഡിസ്ട്രിക്ട്, സ്റ്റേറ്റ്, നാഷണൽ ലെവലിലുള്ള ടാർജറ്റിലൊക്കെ മാറ്റം വന്നു. 10 ലക്ഷം എന്നുള്ള 1 കോടിയായി, 1 കോടി എന്നുള്ളത് 10 ലക്ഷമായി, 10 നാഷണലിൽ 10 കോടിയായി. അതൊക്കെ വലിയ കാര്യമാണ്. അതിനിപ്പോ നമ്മുടെ മനുലാൽ അഡ്വക്കേറ്റ് പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി തന്നെ സ്റ്റാമ്പ് ഡ്യൂട്ടി കാര്യങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ വളരെ കുറവ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. തീർച്ചയായും വലിയൊരു കാര്യമാണ്. പിന്നെ മിസ്ലീഡിങ് അഡ്വർടൈസ്മെന്റ് ആൻഡ് പിന്നെ അതേമാതിരി എൻഡോസറും, മിസ്ലീഡിങ് അഡ്വർടൈസ്മെന്റ്, എൻഡോസർ, പിന്നെ സെലിബ്രിറ്റീസിന്റെ കാര്യം. മിസ്ലീഡിങ് അഡ്വർടൈസ്മെന്റിന് ബാൻ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് വളരെ വൈകിയിരിക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ള അഭിപ്രായമാണ്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും പല ഫീൽഡിലും ഈ പരസ്യങ്ങൾ റോങ് ആയിട്ട് വരുമ്പോൾ പരസ്യം നല്ല രീതിയിൽ ചെയ്യുന്നവന് അത്ര ബലത്തിൽ പറയാൻ സാധിക്കില്ല. അപ്പൊ എപ്പോഴും റോങ് അഡ്വർടൈസ്മെന്റിന് പഞ്ച് കൂടും. അതുകൊണ്ട് റോങ് അഡ്വർടൈസ്മെന്റ് അത് എൻഡോഴ്സ് ചെയ്യാൻ സാമ്പത്തിക ശേഷിയുള്ളപ്പോൾ വലിയ സെലിബ്രിറ്റി ആകുമ്പോൾ അതിനും പഞ്ച് കൂടും. അതിന് ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു റെസ്ട്രിക്ഷൻ കൊണ്ടുവന്നു എന്നുള്ളതും വളരെയധികം സ്വാഗതാർഹമാണ്. പിന്നെ അതേമാതിരി തന്നെ ഈ ഓൺലൈനിൽ തന്നെ നമുക്ക് കംപ്ലൈന്റ് ചെയ്യാമെന്നുള്ളതും വലിയ കാര്യമാണ്. ബിക്കോസ് കേരള ഒരു ടൂറിസം സെന്റർ ആയതുകൊണ്ട് നാച്ചുറലി ഔട്ട്സൈഡ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ഒക്കെ വരാനും പർച്ചേസ് ചെയ്യാനും ഒരു ചെറിയ ഹെസിറ്റേഷൻ ഉണ്ട്. അത് പിന്നെ അവിടെ ഇരുന്നുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ദേ ക്യാൻ ഫയൽ എനി കംപ്ലൈൻറ്റ്സ്. അതൊരു വലിയൊരു കാര്യമാണ്. ഇതൊക്കെ ആസ് എ കൺസ്യൂമർ ഇതെല്ലാം ശരിയാണ്. പക്ഷേ ആസ് എ മാനുഫാക്ചറർ ആൻഡ് വൺ ഓഫ് റീറ്റെയിലർ വളരെയധികം പ്രോബ്ലംസ് അന്നും ഇന്നും എന്നും ഞങ്ങൾ അനുഭവിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇപ്പൊ തന്നെ ഈ ഓൺലൈനിന്റെ കാര്യം പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, ഓൺലൈനിൽ വിത്തൗട്ട് എനി റീസൺ റിട്ടേൺ കൊടുക്കണം എന്നാ പറയണത്. നിങ്ങൾക്കൊക്കെ അറിയാവുന്ന മാതിരി തന്നെ ധാരാളം കോളേജ് കുട്ടികളും ചെറുപ്പക്കാരും ഓൺലൈനിൽ ഡ്രസ്സുകൾ വരുത്തുക, ഒരു ദിവസം യൂസ് ചെയ്യുക, അത് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് പറ്റിയില്ല, ദേ വിൽ ഹാവ് ദെയർ ഓൺ റീസൺസ്, അത് റിട്ടേൺ ചെയ്യുക. ആൻഡ് വാട്ട് എവർ ദേ ആർ റിട്ടേണിങ് ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് 100% ഡസ്റ്റ്ബിന്നിലേക്ക് ഞങ്ങളുടെ പോവുള്ളൂ. വൺ ഓഫ് ദ മേജർ റീസൺ. അതേമാതിരി തന്നെയാണ് ധാരാളം കുട്ടികളുടെ കിഡ്സ് വെയറും കാര്യങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ കൺസ്യൂമർ വന്ന് വാങ്ങിപ്പോയിട്ട് അതിൽ അഴുക്കോ മറ്റൊക്കെ ആയി കഴിഞ്ഞാലും ഇത് ഓൾറെഡി ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഫ്രം ദ ഷോപ്പ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാലും ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടായി. ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനം അണ്ടർലൈൻ ചെയ്യേണ്ട ഏറ്റവും വലിയൊരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട്, കുറച്ചു മുമ്പ് സാവിയോ പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി തന്നെ ഈ സിൽക്ക് സാരീസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വളരെ എക്സ്പെൻസീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സാരികളാണ്. ഈ സാരി ആരും എടുത്താലും, നമ്മളിപ്പോ ജെൻസിന്റെ ഡ്രസ്സ് എടുത്താലും ലേഡീസ് അവരുടെ ഡ്രസ്സ് എടുത്താലും സിൽക്ക് സാരി എന്തെടുത്താലും ഒരു 10 എടുത്തോ 5 എടുത്താല് 1 or 2 നമ്മുടെ ഡ്രസ്സ് നമുക്ക് സൂട്ട് ആവണ മാതിരിയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടണ മാതിരിയോ ബാക്കിയുള്ളത് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടണമെന്നില്ല. അപ്പൊ ഒരു നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഐഡിയ ഈസ് ഹൗ ടു ഗെറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് എക്സ്ചേഞ്ച്ഡ്. ഈ എക്സ്ചേഞ്ചിന് ഈ റൂൾസ് പ്രകാരം വിത്തൗട്ട് എനി ഡിഫക്റ്റ് എക്സ്ചേഞ്ച് കിട്ടില്ല. കാഞ്ചീപുരം സാരി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഓൾ ഹാൻഡിലും വോവണാണ്. സാധാരണ എത്ര നല്ല പെർഫെക്റ്റ് വീവിങ് ആണെങ്കിലും ഒരു ചെറിയ ഓവർ ത്രെഡ് ഒക്കെ വരാം. ഈ ഓവർ ത്രെഡ് അതേമാതിരി കൊണ്ടുവന്നാൽ മടക്കി കിട്ടില്ല എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ച് അതൊരു വലിച്ചൊരു ചെറിയ ഹോൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊണ്ടുവന്നാൽ യു ജസ്റ്റ് ഇമാജിൻ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വാട്ട് വി ആർ ഫേസിങ്. അതിലൊരു 15,000, 20, 40, 50,000 rupees വില വരും. പിന്നെ ധാരാളം പേര് ആ വൺ ടൈം യൂസ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ദേ വാണ്ട് ടു ചേഞ്ച് ഇറ്റ്. പിന്നെ അവർ വന്ന് ചോദിക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ നമുക്കറിയാം, മാറ്റി തരാന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ റേഞ്ചിൽ വേണ്ട, ആ എമൗണ്ട് വരാവുന്ന മാതിരി 3-4 സാരി എടുത്തോളാം എന്നാണ് അവർ പറയുക. ദീസ് ആർ ദി മേജർ ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ടീസ് വി ആർ ഫേസിങ്. എന്നിട്ട് ഇതെല്ലാം നമ്മൾ നോ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയയിൽ വരികയും ഇന്നത്തെ സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയയിൽ വിത്തിൻ നോ ടൈം ദേ ക്യാൻ ടാർണിഷ് അവർ ഗുഡ് വിൽ. അപ്പൊ ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് ഈ കൺസ്യൂമർ പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ ഈ ഇതിൽ ഞങ്ങളെ മാതിരിയുള്ള ഒരു റീറ്റെയിലർ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു മാനുഫാക്ചറുകളുടെ അനുഭവമുള്ളത്. ഇതിന് സാധാരണഗതിയിൽ ഒരു ഗവൺമെന്റും, അത് സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ഗവൺമെന്റ് ആയാലും സെൻട്രൽ ഗവൺമെന്റ് ആയാലും, കുറെ പേരെ വിളിക്കും, കുറെ തീരുമാനങ്ങൾ എടുക്കും എന്നല്ലാതെ ആക്ച്വൽ ട്രേഡേഴ്സ് ഞങ്ങളൊക്കെ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എൻഡ് സെല്ലറാണ്, വലിയ രീതിയിൽ ടേൺ ഓവർ ചെയ്യുന്നവരാണ്. കേരളത്തിൽ തന്നെ ഐ ആം ഗിവിംഗ് എംപ്ലോയ്മെന്റ് ടു 5,000 പീപ്പിൾ. ഇത്രയും വലിയ കോവിഡ് കാലത്തും ആരെയും പിരിച്ചു വിട്ടിട്ടില്ല. പക്ഷെ ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരാളും ആരും വിളിക്കണ കാണാറ്. ഐ ആം ദി ലാർജസ്റ്റ് ടാക്സ് പേയർ ഇൻ GST. ഇതൊക്കെ ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ വന്നു. താങ്ക്സ് ടു സാവിയോ ഇങ്ങനെ വലിയ റിഫോംസ് വന്നു എന്നുള്ളതിന് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത് വളരെ ലേറ്റ് ആയിട്ടാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഇനി മിന്നലും ഫിക്കി ആയാലും മലബാർ ചേംബർ ആയാലും കൊച്ചിൻ ചേംബർ ഒക്കെ ആയാലും നിങ്ങൾ മിനിസ്ട്രി ലെവലില് ബിഫോർ ടേക്കിംഗ് എ ഡിസിഷൻ, ബിഫോർ സച്ച് ആക്ട്സ് ആർ ഡൺ, നമ്മളെയും കൂടി ഒന്ന് വിളിക്കണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് പറയാനുള്ളത്. അതേമാതിരി തന്നെയാണ് എനിക്ക് ഇതിൽ പെടാത്ത കാര്യങ്ങളായാലും എനിക്ക് സൂപ്പർ മാർക്കറ്റുകളുണ്ട്. ഈ സൂപ്പർ മാർക്കറ്റിലും ഇതേ പ്രോബ്ലംസ് ആണ്. പിന്നെ പാക്കിംഗ് ആൻഡ് കമ്മോഡിറ്റീസ് തുണിയിൽ തന്നെയുണ്ട്. ഈ വിത്ത് ഡ്യൂ റെസ്പെക്ട് ടു ദ ബ്യൂറോക്രാറ്റ്സ് അതിൽ ധാരാളം ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടിക്കുന്നവരുണ്ട്. ഈ പാക്കിംഗ് ആൻഡ് കമ്മോഡിറ്റീസ് ആക്ട് ഓണായ ഇവർ ഇറങ്ങും കടകളിലേക്ക്. ദീപക് അശ്വാനി ഓൾസോ ഇൻ ടു ടെക്സ്റ്റൈൽ ബിസിനസ്, ഹി നോസ് ദി ഫാക്ട്. ആ ടൈമിൽ വരും, പാക്കറ്റൊക്കെ നോക്കും, അതിൽ മാനുഫാക്ചറിങ് ഡേറ്റ് തെളിഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ല, MRP തെളിഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ അതിന് മുകളിൽ ഡസ്റ്റ് ആവാതിരിക്കുക. അപ്പൊ ഞങ്ങളൊക്കെ വൈറ്റ് വെഡിങ് ഡ്രസ്സിനൊക്കെ ഗൗണൊക്കെ അതിനൊക്കെ ഡസ്റ്റ് ആവാതിരിക്കുക അതിലൊരു കവർ ഇട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതിലെന്തോ കവർ ചെയ്തതിൽ എന്തുകൊണ്ട് MRP ഇല്ല. അപ്പൊ അവര് നമ്മൾ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ദം ദിസ് ഈസ് എക്സ്ട്രാ കവർ ആണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാലും അവരുടെ ആവശ്യം വേറെയാണ്. മാത്രമല്ല ഇന്നത്തെ നിയമങ്ങളോ ഒരു പ്രാവശ്യം കംപ്ലൈന്റ് നമ്മൾ പൈസ അടച്ച രണ്ടാമത്തേന് ഇംപ്രസ്മെന്റ് ആണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഇപ്പൊ മാനേജിംഗ് ഡയറക്ടർ പോസ്റ്റൊക്കെ ഞാൻ മാറ്റി വെച്ചിരിക്കുക, ഈ വയസ്സ് കാലത്ത് ജയിലിൽ പോകാതിരിക്കാനായിട്ട്. അതേമാതിരി തന്നെയാണ് പാക്കിംഗ് ആൻഡ് കമ്മോഡിറ്റീസ് ആക്ടിന്റെ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു. കൺസ്യൂമർ അതേമാതിരി വെയിറ്റ് ആൻഡ് മെഷേഴ്സ്, ഇതേ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുകളാണ്. ഫുഡ് ആൻഡ് സേഫ്റ്റി, ഈ ബിസിനസ് ഒക്കെ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്നത് കൊണ്ടാണ് അതിന്റെ ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ടീസ് അറിയണം. Because I am born and brought up in Kerala, but so whatever I want to do it in my own state, and I am very happy when I give a lot of employment to my own people. That is one of the reasons. ഇപ്പോ ഈ മിളക് പൊടി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നോക്കിയറിയാം, വലിയ വലിയ ബ്രാൻഡുകൾ ആരും തന്നെ മിളക് പൊടി ഉണ്ടാക്കാണ്ടായി. ഈസ്റ്റേൺ ആയാലും ഡബിൾ ഹോഴ്സ് ആയാലും വലിയ വലിയ കമ്പനിക്കാരൊന്നും മിളക് പൊടി തയ്യാറാക്കില്ല. ദേ ക്യാൻ എക്സ്പോർട്ട്, ഒരു പ്രോബ്ലവും ഇല്ല. എക്സ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന അതേ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ഇവിടെ സെയിൽ ചെയ്താൽ അതിൽ ഒരു ടോളറൻസ് ഉണ്ട്, എത്തിയോൺ എന്നാണ് പറയണത്. ഈ ടോളറൻസ് ലെവല് 0.01 mg ആണ്. വരുമ്പോ ഈ പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ്സ് ഒക്കെ അടിച്ചു വരുമ്പോൾ 0.044 വരും. അത് ഈ ഉദ്യോഗസ്ഥന്മാർക്ക് അറിയാം. അവര് വന്ന് അവരെ നമ്മളൊന്ന് ബ്രൈബ് ചെയ്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ഒരു മിളകാണ് സാമ്പിൾ എടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് പോവുക. അതേമാതിരി തന്നെ ബ്രെഡില് ആ കളർ ചേർക്കുന്നത്, ഇതിലൊക്കെ എവരിബഡി നോസ്, ഈവൻ ദ ഗവൺമെന്റ് നോസ്, എവരിബഡി നോസ് ആ മിളകിന് ഇത്രയും പെസ്റ്റിസൈഡ്സ് അടിച്ചില്ലെങ്കിൽ മിളക് നിൽക്കില്ല എന്നത്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വൈ ദ ഗവൺമെന്റ്, ഈവൻ ദ ഗവൺമെന്റ് അലൗസ് എക്സ്പോർട്ട്. ബട്ട് ഇവിടെ പറ്റാണ്ടായപ്പോ എന്തായി, സാധാരണ കൺസ്യൂമറിന് മിളക് പൊടി കിട്ടാത്തൊരു സിറ്റുവേഷനിലേക്ക് പോകും. ഇങ്ങനെ അതേമാതിരി തന്നെയാണ് നമ്മളിപ്പോ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ കൺസ്യൂമർ പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷനിൽ ഈ ലോട്ട്സ് ആൻഡ് ലോട്ട്സ് ഓഫ് ഇഷ്യൂസ് ആർ ദെയർ എന്തായാലും. ബട്ട് അറ്റ് ദ സെയിം ടൈം I am also a consumer. So on the consumer part, I really welcome this. മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ കുറെ ഇതുണ്ട്. 5 മണി ടൈം പറഞ്ഞു. We are late now, 5:20. Anyhow, thank you very much for giving me such an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Pattabhiraman, Chairman and Managing Director, Kalyan Silks, clearly explaining the difficulty faced by the industry and manufacturers as retailers while complying with the Consumer Protection Act. Sir, with your permission, Sir, FICCI had been part of this policy recommendations on when the government framed the Consumer Protection Act 2000, and we had given a recommendations, some suggestions from our side also. Definitely, we will, sir, keep you also informed whenever new such changes come in, also, so that your views also will be also taken into consideration. Now we'll go to the last mover, but not last speaker, but not the least, very important speaker. That is Mr. Samdani Basha, Vice President Customer Experience Flipkart. And as you're aware, Flipkart is one of the leading web platform now currently on the online platform that is available and very extensively used in Kerala also. Over to Sri Samdani Basha for explaining about the changes and way forward e-commerce in the new scenario, especially on the angle of new consumer protection. Over to Sri Samdani.
Sure. Thank you so much, Savio, for inviting me to this. Is my audio all right, Mr. Savio?
Yes, perfectly okay. You can continue.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Really delighted to be a part of this esteemed group that is addressing a very important aspect of consumer protection. I think it's an understatement now to actually say that online adoption has increased dramatically, especially in the context of the post effects of COVID, so to say. And Flipkart, I believe, is uniquely positioned to play a significant role in addressing the customer needs and also raising the bar with respect to customer and consumer protection and also grievance addressal. When it comes to protecting consumer rights, and because we are predominantly online, we ask ourselves a core question in the context of something called the customer shopping journey. And the most pertinent question is, as people migrate from offline to online, what has changed with respect to customer journey? Has there been any difference in terms of way people purchase groceries or apparel or electronics, for instance, right now, or fashion accessories at the moment, right? To the way they actually are kind of purchasing tickets and with all the cancellations that are currently happen and the kind of pain that the airlines also inflict on a variety of customers across the country. There are a couple of learnings for us there as well. And as we move forward, at Flipkart, what we're doing to kind of stay ahead of the curve and set some new standards for customer experience is mostly around, we break down the customer buying process into a series of interconnected journey nodes, which the customer experiences. And at a very macro level, we call it as pre-order and then post-order. And in pre-order, we fundamentally try and serve and protect the customer journey through value discovery, through a vast collection of products, which would not be available in the context of, let's say, an online option. And then we also kind of have a variety of affordability constructs as well. Now, as more and more customers get to the online commerce, right, in the spirit of protecting the customer's interest and also welcoming them as well, we do have a variety of new user onboarding constructs. For instance, we are hoping to onboard the next 200 million customers on the platform. And it all the more becomes essential for us to actually have a skin in the game with respect to consumer protection. And there is a variety of constructs we're working on with respect to how do I personalize the journey for the customer, make it easy for the customer to kind of shop, and how do I fundamentally increase the level of trust on an online platform wherein the seller doesn't know who the buyer is, so to say. And Flipkart actually acts as a marketplace. Now, in the realm, coming specifics to the realm of the grievance addressal, right? At Flipkart, we have been focusing on fundamentally reducing complaints that are raised by customers. So we do have a metric that actually says incidents per unit sold, which basically says for every 100 units actually sold by the organization, how many customers do go through some bit of a pain and need some assistance, which kind of brings into question the entire consumer or the grievance addressal process. Given operations, we have been leveraging significant amount of technology to help our customers. And our approach today is to kind of let customers select whatever channel they are comfortable with to get our assistance. For one, we are actually democratizing access to all the channels for the customers. As an example, for the more busy and for the tech-savvy customers, there is something called a self-serve construct, wherein what the customer does today is goes to the platform, searches for the relevant information, and also get their issues addressed. And post the issue addressal or the issue resolution, we also take feedback from the customers, which is part of the way we actually operate as well. And then once again, in terms of ensuring that no customer is actually left behind when there is a problem, which once again is the core of the grievance addressal process. A few customers prefer email. We have given them that option as well. Some prefer an interactive voice response. They have that as well. And needless to mention, there is chat and social media as well, right? And for each of these options, Flipkart has invested in people to ensure that the requests are actually captured and are addressed in line with the customer expectations. And once we capture the requests, we have a lot of customer experience agents who prioritize the queries for resolution by working with the relevant internal teams as well. And for customers who are also likely to go through a degraded experience, one aspect of our orientation today is in terms of how do I address even the customer's unmet needs when it comes to issue resolution. We use a term called silent sufferers, right? There could be a case of a customer who is a frequent online transacting customer, but let's say he bought an extremely low priced product on the platform. And what we try to do is in terms of we kind of prioritize that. We actually see if the order is going through a fair bit of friction. And without even the customer discovering it, we do try to kind of identify these issues and try and resolve the customer's problems as well. As an example, a delay in delivery. Or let's say you buy a TV and there's a delay in installation, for instance, right? We did have a case of one customer from Kerala who, for instance, ordered a pneumatic bed from us. And the installation partner there was not very well qualified to kind of do the pneumatic installation of a pneumatic bed. I think that was the first time we actually saw the product in Kerala. But then we spoke to the customer, then she brought another product, and then we actually sent a special person all the way from Tamil Nadu, and then we actually got it addressed as well. The other great lengths we actually are going to kind of address the customer issues as well. And as you can see here, that the access to the grievance redressal mechanism, at least our effort has been to democratize access to people, give people the power of choice to kind of seek out the most convenient and the effective channel. And for the records, every issue that is reported is logged in the CRM. And every issue is eventually closed in line with the customer expectations. And we hold ourselves accountable for a couple of performance outcomes as well. That said, I think in as much as this entire effort is completely laudable, and I think it's coming at a very, very appropriate time in terms of ensuring that we hold ourselves accountable. In summary, the effort of Flipkart in the spirit of collaboration and participation with all the stakeholders also is geared towards, number one, prevent issues for the customers. And then if we are unable to prevent those issues, can we recover the experience if the issues do happen? And as part of the recovery construct, there is proactive detection and containment of that issue. And when customers do complain, it actually becomes reactive. We give them a choice and solve this in line with the expectations. And last but not the least, there is also a huge effort to kind of personalize support to a customer based on the customer journey. And when I talk of a journey, let's say a friction-free installation or a no questions asked refund, right? And so on and so forth. And that's something we're actually doing. And that said, one point I also wanted to make, sir, was another important aspect of consumer protection is also protecting the customer from all the fraud that is also likely to happen in the form of, let's say, online, in the form of, let's say, fake offers going out from a variety of contact centers across the country, operating out of fiscal geographies. And I think customers are losing a lot of money out there. And I think if we can even kind of encapsulate that as well, which basically includes, in addition to the customer, the banks and the cybercrime division of the country, right? If they can actually come together as well, I believe there could be a much more comprehensive addressal of the customer protection constructs as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Samdani Basha, Vice President, Customer Experience Flipkart, for explaining about the various aspects on the challenges and way forward e-commerce in the new scenario, especially from the Consumer Protection Act and the various steps taken from the e-platform players, including Flipkart. And suggestions from you on the last point on the online frauds and cyber crimes. FICCI has already done a program on the counterfeiting currency and also smuggling of goods, and also one program which we are also in the pipeline is also the online frauds and the cyber crimes, which will be also rolling out very soon in Kerala also. Thank you, Samdani. And now I request Deepak Lashwani, co-chair FICCI Kerala State Council, to summarize, because we are already exceeded the time limit also. Actually, we are supposed to start 3:30. Unfortunately, we started by 3:40, 50 minutes late. We already crossed 5 o'clock scheduled time of the program. And definitely, we will be circulating the program details and contents to the various participants who already logged in the web platform, as well as to the YouTube channel also. And also, we'll be circulating the same to the various participants members and trade industry and collect their views, and we'll be submitting the same to the government authorities, judicial authorities, as well as the Secretary Department of Affairs, Government of Kerala also. Over to Sri Debakalachwani for your remarks on the same, and thereafter I think we can conclude because the questions are not posted on the chat box also. I think there's some technical issues. If any more speakers do want to add on anything, otherwise we will conclude because we already exceeded the time. Let's say Manulal sir, perfectly see you. Sir, you want to add on anything other than what you have already explained from your end? Sir, you are unmuted. Sir, you are muted. Can you please unmute? Yeah.
No, nothing to add. I am.
Okay. Definitely, we will submit all the points and suggestions from the industry perspective to the government. So we will conclude the session. So we will conclude the session by. I would like to express our sincere word of gratitude to Honorable Justice Sri K. Surendra Mohan, President, Kerala State Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, for joining on the session and delivering the keynote address. And also a word of gratitude to Sri Venugopal IAS, Secretary Department, Consumer Affairs, Government of Kerala, for delivering the special address. Sri Manulal VS, President, Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum, Kottayam District, and in charge of Ernakulam District, for explaining about the various important aspects of the Consumer Protection Act on the redressal forums also. And all our eminent industry panel speakers, Sri T.K. Pattabhiraman, Chairman, Managing Director, Kalyan Silks, Sri Rajat Banerjee, Vicky, Director, Task Force, and the National Head Corporate Office, Amway India, and Sri Samdani Basha, Vice President, Custom Experience Flipkart. So thank you, sir, all for being joining with us for the program, and definitely we'll share the views and the suggestions of the industry side. And thank you once again. Thank you each and everyone for joining the program. Thank you, sir.